What screams I'm a loser?
After you're 25 or so, I don't care how cool you were in high school. Being rude to service workers, especially when you know they aren't being paid enough to deal with your entitled ass. Bringing themselves up in conversations that weren't about them, or forcefully trying to change the subject to themselves/things they wanna talk about. A mother of a kid of my class accused me of fatally injuring one of their sheep. I was 8 and my friend 6. We were just petting them. Plus the ground they were grazing on was the ground that my dad was leasing to them. She was furious and called us names. Still don't know why she thought scaring little kids to death over petting animals was a good thing to do. When I used to go to therapy, my sister would come with me and my parents to it, and they would all wait outside during my sessions. One of my last times going there, my sister was sitting in a tree when a couple and their kid walked by and the dad said, "I hope she doesn't break that tree. My sister is severely overweight by no fault of her own. Not that that should even matter. No one deserves to be fat shamed, least of all a 9-year-old by a grown adult. No wonder he had to take his kid to therapy." Shitting on people because of the class they were born into. I'm getting real sick of people treating my friend from the south like white trash because he was born into poverty. Anything that screams "look at me" or "I'm a winner." Pride in aspects of yourself that aren't of your choosing. Allegiance to a group without any critical evaluation of that group's purpose, actions, history, or affiliations. Pride in things like being uninformed, disengaged, incurious, or ignorant. Basing one's sense of self off others' opinions. Placing more importance on appearance than substance. Living above your means, to look cool or to keep up with trends, and constantly borrowing cash to keep yourself from starving instead of using the money you earned. Social climbing, basically. I knew this guy, the one you're talking about, around the late 80s, early 90s. It was well known that he was drowning in debt, yet was obsessed with buying a new Cadillac that he could drive back to his 15th high school reunion in. He was also obsessed with being around those he felt were the right kind of people. Yes, he actually used that term once, then making sure the wrong type don't get into that circle once he felt he was safely in it. The last I heard of him was the late 90s. He and his wife had bought a house that the person who told me of it described it as almost a mansion. I knew his wife. She still worked where I did, as a secretary. And I knew the type work he did, low-level manager. They were not making the kind of money you could sustain a mansion on. When someone who is living in a house that isn't their own, they don't have a job to help pay bills and still try to act like they own the place and can control everything in it. Aka, my brother-in-law is a complete and total loser, still living at his mother's house and acting like he's doing my mill a favor by living there. He's 28 BTW. Being cruel. Whether you're a powerless person who lays into anybody who can't get away, or a powerful one with the strength and resources to do better, using whatever power you have to make life miserable for someone else is a sure mark of a loser. Spending money that could be saved/invested on trying to project a lifestyle that you simply do not have/cannot afford. Looking back, I had so many friends and people I knew that did this. Woof. I understand this. Worked at a daycare where a mother couldn't be bothered to spend $1 at the dollar store across the street for her child's diaper rash that was steadily getting worse. Kiddo refused to pee due to weeping sores by the end of it. Yet mom smoked, had her nails done, had nice hair, and the newest cell phone. She was shocked that we called child services on her despite her having a doctor's appointment in a week. This being after a week and a half repeatedly asking her to bring in any kind of ointment for her kid. She expected her 3 years old to just deal with it for almost 3 weeks. Like, if you got the money to project like you got it together, then you should actually have it together, especially if the price of entry is $1. Volunteering information about themselves when no one asks, so they can brag about things that totally happened. For example, I used to work with this one guy who claimed while walking, he was hit by a car and went through the windshield. Of course, because he was such a badass, he initially refused to go to the hospital and tried to walk it off, but his family had to tell him to go. Oh, and the glass was evidently the special type that doesn't leave any scars on hands or faces. Edit. He also claimed he fought a bear off once. Why he decided it was only going to be one, and not a whole family, I don't know, but I guess he thought that would be going too far. Treating people like they are inferior / thinking you're better than others. Especially so if it's because you went to a great school on paper or something like that. Lots of talented great people come out of places besides the Ivy League, etc. Being the manager of a retail store or food chain and treating your workers like shit despite you not knowing them. Yes, Darcy. Talking to you, bitch. I take college level psychology too, you idiot. I know all about the DSM-5 and also my illness is called depression, you nasty whore. People who don't have custody of their kid or kids make no effort to see their kid, yet post on Facebook pictures of the kid with captions like he/she is my whole world. Oh, and usually the pictures they post are stolen off the mom/dad's page that actually has custody. In the US, folks who focus obsessively on their heritage, like who cares what your great-great-great-great-grandpappy did, what have you done with your life? DDoS threats and attacks over Xbox Live/PlayStation Network. I don't why, but it feels like these people who threaten it, or even do it, have an MPFPS. Small names that reflect their DDoS expertise, or don't make sense at all. Bragging about how much you can drink, bragging about stats in video games. If you are this person, genuinely fuck you. Bragging about how many people you have slept with, bragging about how rich your parents are. Edit. A few people took issue with me talking about bragging about stats in gaming, and that's fine. I didn't do a good job of explaining my motivation, so allow me to clarify. I'm salty when people use it as a basis of whether or not you are worth their time, and talk down to those who they think are worse than them. I don't mind people being proud and happy about it, it's the bragging I'm irritated about. Girls whose entire identities depend on the person they are dating. My fiance's brother, 23 meters, dates this girl, 20F, who has zero life of her own. She has none of her own friends, none of her own hobbies, doesn't have a car, license, or job. The only things she's interested in are fishing, video games, and drinking, because guess who's into those things? Being in your late 20s or 30s and still having passionate debates about your high school sports career. Like, I get it, man, we all have a few funny stories that might even be worth telling strangers, but some people really never get over this shit and think making varsity as a sophomore means they could coach an NBA team. Having your entire personality centered around smoking weed at any age. Being a dick to people you hold any slight amount of power over, such as retail workers or waiters. An adult in his 50s bullying a teenager like a toxic friend of my toxic parents did to me during my childhood. It was unprovoked, and he never apologized or showed any accountable or remorse even 20 years later. He bullied and dehumanized me yet again during my adulthood, which caused me a lot of pain. He misled me to believe that he's handling my late father's estate. He also used his powers as a lawyer to transfer a lot of money that legally belonged to me into my trust fund that I have yet to see any accounting of. I have no way of knowing if my own money is still there or if it was misused. The trustee in charge of the trust fund is my mother, who sucks with finances and moved thousands of miles overseas when I signed the trust agreement. The shady, bullying lawyer is behind everything, including a partnership agreement that my father coerced me into signing without me receiving any copies of the documents. An adult bullying a child is child abuse. The way he meddled into my life, financially and emotionally abused me, is even more disturbing and horrifying. He's definitely a loser. Big ass trucks for literally no reason. I come from literally basically as far north in America as possible, where it is entirely necessary for a lot of people to have trucks for work. But if you really just turned 16 and work at the gas station and got a huge lifted truck, then just stop. There's no reason for you to have a big ass truck unless you got a whole shit, or unless you are a car guy doing something specifically with that badass truck. People who base their entire personality around a specific event/thing. Think that vegan who feels the need to constantly tell everyone how they're better and how vegan they are, despite the fact that no one asked. Maybe not as extreme, but you get the point. People who are obsessed with Instagram and feel uncomfortable if they haven't posted in over a month. People who constantly purposefully use social media to fake a perfect life with a bunch of fake friends and show it off to other people. Judging anyone based on anything besides their actions and character. If you judge someone based on anything else, you are a horrible person. In school I used to get so downright upset when people would mock teachers behind their backs or even to their faces. I was never the type to speak up, being super shy, but if someone joked about a teacher and others found it funny, I really couldn't. Not sure if it counts as screaming that they're losers, but I felt something must be up to get any pleasure from making fun of teachers. Constantly talking about how amazing they are. Give it a rest, fucknut, you're just like everyone else, except way more arrogant. I noticed a lot of people I grew up with legit live on Facebook. They tend to be under or unemployed, might even still live with their parents, and are die-hard Trump fans. Finally, a place to write this down. Leaving your young kids at home so you can go hook up with strangers, doing drugs around your kids, not dressing your kid warm enough when it's cold outside, letting your kid tear up the store and run around screaming. Putting a cheap ass exhaust tip on your car to make it sound like a lawnmower or a weed whacker. If you can hear your BF's car half a city away, you don't have a BF, you have a guy with a macro dick. IMO depends on who you want to work for, yourself or your boss. When you work harder at not working for your boss, you are working for yourself, in a way. What is it they say? Do what's more important for you, not for your employer. Plenty of employers want you to kill yourself working for them, and doing what they want can be like shooting yourself in your foot. Ours is also for the employer's benefit, not the employees. Same kind of thing. People who are clearly damaged by political identities. Where I live I see big trucks with huge Confederate and Trump flags. Immediate losers. I literally know everything I need to know about you after seeing that. People who claim that they are not hypocritical and that they are entitled, but proceed to make their own son want you some melon baller on their rise. The beta males who wants to volunteer for anti-bullying campaigns after bullying the fuck out of the scrawny dude with glasses. Dude, you are not nor ever will be considered an alpha if you don't drop the fake male bravado. Talking badly about other PPL and then afterwards talking badly about the person who you just talked badly about the other person. I guess two-faced colder summed her up. From loudspeakers on public transportation to loud speaking and yelling at customer service people, to revving up their engines. Everything that just loudly says look at me, I feel sorry, because deep inside I know they were miserable and treated badly while growing up, and is why they are so socially and emotionally inept. But then I remember I'm a sadistic ass, and take a shot of my ale, a toast to that. Screaming I'm a loser, but seriously if someone does this, and you're around please, tell them that they are. Give them what they want. Starting fights with random people over shit that a simple sorry or reimbursement could have solved. Oh, I stepped in your shoes. Shit dude, sorry, bumped into your arm and spilled your drink. Lem buy you a new one. Sorry about that, it's not hard, not complicated. I was a manager at Blockbuster, God rest its soul. I once had an irate man trying to dodge a one-day late fee by pointing at his gold wristwatch and screaming at the highest volume I've ever heard a man scream, "Do you think I'm the kind of person to get late fees?" To which I calmly and politely said yes. Loafer wearing, Lincoln driving, to collars popped Lee was a. People who literally only focus on what others think about them and so reject ideas or comments made solely because they think it's not cool or trendy makes everyone else feel like shit too. Being that one guy who can't even hang out casually without needing to be drunk. Seriously, I don't get people who don't think they can have fun unless they're blackout drunk. Refusing to acknowledge simple facts. Things like actually believing in proven science. Sometimes even theorized science, and admitting you were wrong, maybe even asking how to change for the better / what to do different, go a long way. I'm not saying you have to keep up with everything, no one can really, but I'm saying, if your brain isn't developed far enough for you to accept facts and admit mistakes, I'm not going to make room in my brain for you as anything other than a laughable idiot. Not even sorry, and no, this isn't some facts over feelings BS. Becoming financially unstable in an effort to look cool. Many young mothers from my hometown will buy luxury handbags and other luxury goods, but fail to see that nothing about their lifestyle is actually luxurious. We can hear the bass on your car stereo from inside the building, or the muffler whistle on your 4-cylinder economy car. It's just too funny. Putting people down. Literally no need. Your words are powerful, and you can use them to make people happy. To go out of your way to hurt other people is just awful. A smile, a wave, a compliment. Just make someone's day, because why not? If you want to upset people, you're a loser. Dudes who brag about winning a few bucks gambling. When I was younger, I was in the break room of a factory I worked at, and this guy was going on and on to me about all the little poker tournaments he has cleaned up in. This trucker dude sat in the corner quietly listening, and when the poker dude left, the trucker came over to me and said, "Funny how gamblers only ever brag about their winnings." Talking shit about mainstream things to prove that they're different. Making fun of pumpkin spice latte, fairy lights, even religion. D&D stories. I do not know why, but all the people I know that play D&D feel compelled to tell me how great they are in their game. Usually just nod my head and say stuff like, "That's great," but after hearing the same story 5 or 6 times, I want to just stab my brain with a pencil. The guy behind me in traffic yesterday for 30 something minutes with his lifted truck and ridiculously bright high beams on. We're at a standstill in the most well-lit area of the highway due to construction, so there's plenty of lights all around us. Seriously man, what a damn loser. I define myself as a loser. I'm a 22-year-old guy who's never had a job, girlfriend, or any extensive schooling. I barely made it through high school, and I have bad anxiety, and I think I have depression. Just the other day I got a letter talking about jury duty, and it stressed me out so bad I wanted to cry. I'm just a loser. Okay, I play League of Legends, and occasionally, when I'm on a losing team and somebody isn't doing great, there's one guy who screams about it in chat and begs everyone to report them. That just reminds me of people in general that just exist to irritate everyone else. Just try and make some guy's day a tiny bit worse by getting his account banned. Those guys are the worst. I don't think they ever get banned though. At least, I hope not. If Riot employees were cooler, they would ban people that beg for reports. Those guys are much worse. Immediately jumping in to try to discredit anything that puts a positive light on the opposite sex. Immediately shooting down the possibility that a single father is struggling and doing his best, or acting all insecure about the possibility that there were female Viking warriors, that kind of thing. Trolls in video games. Nothing says I'm lonely and lashing out like obnoxiously trolling people and ruining games just because you can. Spoiler on a Dodge Neon. Ed Hardy shirt. While I'm at it, any edgy shirt. Drinking a large Red Bull after 5 PM, unless you're on the night shift. Blue Lives Matter flag / yard sign. Not wearing a mask in public. Friday night, all alone. Plenty of friends nearby to hang with. Plenty of friends far away to game with. Things you know need to be done, but telling yourself that I'll do that tomorrow. Books to read, games to play, movies and TV shows to watch, but opts for laying on the floor feeling sorry for oneself, or curling up on the couch looking at a blank screen. Social justice warriorhood. It's a religious cult. Berating other people constantly for not having discovered the spiritually awakening truths that you have. Feeling like you have to convert the world to thinking like you do. When people knock on your door and want to tell you about Jesus or some such, you find it tiring and preachy and holier than thou, right? Bingo. Hipsters have the worst fashion sense. This is coming from a guy who doesn't really care, and even I think it looks like an eyesore. Only like things cause they're not popular and small, but if that something dares to actually get popular, expect them to immediately ditch them and call them selling out and diss people for liking them when they are popular. Don't sound like winners to me. I found out my classmate doesn't like TikTok and loves reading. Now me and my other classmate will bully them and make them clean up our messes. That's how I started getting bullied. I just like reading. Being anti-science, being contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, truck nuts, vanity trucks for that matter, road rage, people doing things for clout. Using words like finna, being a single mother, and blaming it on everyone else. Talking whilst chewing your food. Looking down on people that make less income than you, including the lazy. Picking fights with everyone you work with until the police are finally called. Multiple times. I seriously don't know why he's still employed there. No one tried to provoke him. He was just an asshole. Happened at my local go-kart place. It's grown-ass men glorifying themselves and giving everyone the middle finger for being in first. Everyone else was below 16. When people take shitty cars, throw a bunch of dumb stereo shit in them, like a subwoofer, add on some extra pieces of mods to the car, like obnoxious paint, ridiculous rims, loud exhaust, etc., and then drive aggressively around blasting their crap music as loudly as they can. Boo-oy, you know they got a big dick.